At 30 years old, I believed my life was just beginning. I had a job. I had friends. I had plans. I also had one belief that destroyed everything. One bad decision can't ruin a whole life. I was wrong. One decision didn't just ruin my life. It erased 25 years of it. And if I could go back to that night, I wouldn't change my whole life. I would change one moment. I wasn't a criminal. That's important to say. I wasn't raised around violence. I didn't dream of prison. I didn't wake up thinking, today I'll ruin my future. I was an ordinary American man, working, struggling, trying to prove I mattered. Like many men at 30, I felt behind. Behind in money, behind in success, behind in respect. That feeling is dangerous. By 30, people stop being patient with you. At 20, mistakes are expected. At 30, mistakes are judged. I felt like I was running out of time. Everyone around me looked like they were moving forward, and I felt stuck in place. That desperation made me listen to the wrong voice. It wasn't dramatic. No movie-style chaos. No evil plan. Just a bad night with bad people and a bad choice. Someone said, "It's easy money." Someone else said, "Just this once." And the voice in my head said, "This will fix everything." That voice lies. The decision. I had a moment, a quiet moment, the kind of moment people think doesn't matter. I could have walked away. I didn't. That's it. That's the decision that cost me 25 years. Pride. I didn't want to look weak. I didn't want to look scared. I didn't want to be the guy who always says no. Prison is full of men who didn't want to look weak. It didn't happen immediately. That's another lie people believe, that consequences come right away. They don't. Weeks passed, then months. I convinced myself I was safe. Then one morning, there was a knock. Hard, loud, final. Your life changes the moment you see handcuffs. I stared at the back of the seat. I remember thinking, this is a misunderstanding. It wasn't. Every man in prison starts with that thought. They read them out slowly, each word heavier than the last. I stopped listening after a point. I could hear blood in my ears. I was still 30, but suddenly I felt very old. Making that call was harder than the arrest. I didn't know what to say. There is no good way to tell someone, I just destroyed my life. My mother cried. My father went silent. That silence was worse. Courtrooms don't feel real when you're the defendant. Everything feels distant. The judge, the lawyers, the words. You're there, but your future is already slipping away. 25 years. I didn't understand the number at first. I had to do the math. I would be 55 if I got out. That's when it hit me. I wasn't losing time. I was losing my life. There is a sound prison doors make. Once you hear it, you never forget it. That sound tells you something important. Prison at night is loud. Men yelling, metal doors, fear you don't admit. I lay on a thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. That's when I finally understood. One decision doesn't feel big when you make it. It feels big after. At some point that night, I whispered to myself, if I could go back 1 hour, that thought would visit me every day for 25 years. Why I'm telling you this? Because people think prison stories start inside prison. They don't. They start with one moment people think doesn't matter. The reality of prison, not the movies. People who have never been to prison think the worst part is violence. It's not. The worst part is time. Time that doesn't move. Time that doesn't forgive. Time that keeps going without you. The first thing prison teaches you is this: you don't control anything anymore. Not when you eat, not when you sleep, not when you speak, not when you see the sky. My first week inside, I tried to stay invisible. That's the instinct. Don't look too confident. Don't look too scared. Don't talk too much. Don't trust anyone. But prison sees you anyway. Older inmates can smell fear, not because you shake, but because you still think like a free man. The first fight I didn't want. I didn't plan it. I didn't want it. But prison doesn't care what you want. Someone disrespected me in front of others. I laughed it off. That was a mistake. In prison, laughing something off is seen as weakness. 2 hours later, I was bleeding. That fight taught me something brutal. In here, you either adapt or you disappear. How you learn to survive. Survival isn't about strength. It's about awareness. Who to avoid, who to speak to, when to stay quiet, when to stand your ground. You learn to read faces like weather. A raised eyebrow can mean trouble. Silence can mean danger. Kindness always has a price. Time becomes your enemy. Days feel long. Years feel endless. At first you count days, then months, then years. Eventually you stop counting because it hurts too much. Birthdays pass. Holidays come and go. You learn to hate calendars. Watching life move on without you. Letters came at first. Friends saying, "We miss you." Promises like, "We'll visit." Most didn't. That's another prison truth. The world doesn't wait for inmates. People get married. People get promoted. People forget. And forgetting hurts more than hate. My family visits. Seeing my mother age through glass broke me. Each visit, her hair a little grayer, her hands shaking more. She tried to be strong for me. I pretended not to notice, but I did. Every time. The day I missed a funeral. Prison takes moments you never get back. I wasn't there when my father died. I didn't get to say goodbye. I sat on my bunk that night, staring at my hands, realizing this is the price of that one decision. No courtroom tells you about this part. Regret is a daily routine. Regret doesn't scream, it whispers. Late at night, early in the morning, in the quiet moments. It asks the same question every day. Why didn't you walk away? And you never have a good answer. The mental prison. The bars are nothing compared to your mind. Your mind replays the moment over and over and over. You imagine different outcomes. You torture yourself with what-ifs. That's a sentence inside the sentence. Who I became inside. I aged faster in prison, not physically, mentally. I watched young men come in angry and leave broken. I watched old men die, waiting for freedom. That changes you. It humbles you, and it terrifies you. The fear of getting out. Here's something nobody talks about. After years inside, freedom becomes scary. You don't know technology. You don't know society. You don't know where you fit. Prison becomes familiar, and that realization is horrifying. The moment I realized time was gone. One day, I caught my reflection in metal. I didn't recognize the man looking back. I went in at 30. I was no longer young. That's when it hit me. I wasn't serving time. Time was erasing me. Why I started talking to younger inmates. I began warning younger men, not preaching, not judging, just telling them the truth. One moment can cost decades. Some listened, some didn't. Those who didn't, I saw them years later, still inside. The hope I held on to. Hope changes in prison. It starts big, freedom, appeals, miracles. Then it becomes small, a letter, a visit, a sunrise through bars. Hope doesn't disappear. It shrinks. The day the gates opened. Freedom doesn't feel the way people imagine. There was no music, no celebration, no sense of victory, just a gate opening and a man stepping out who no longer knew the world. I went in at 30. I walked out at 55. The first breath of freedom. The air felt different, not better, just unfamiliar. Cars were quieter. Phones were smaller. People walked faster. The world had moved forward. I had been frozen in time. Freedom comes with fear. I was afraid of everything. Crossing streets, using a phone, standing in a grocery store with too many choices. Prison takes away decision-making. Freedom gives it back all at once, and it's overwhelming. The people who were gone. Some were dead. Some were married. Some had kids. Some didn't want to reopen old wounds. I couldn't blame them. Life doesn't pause for prisoners. That's the hardest truth to accept. The moment that broke me outside. I stood in front of a mirror one morning. No bars, no guards, just me. And I realized something painful. I was free, but I was behind. Emotionally, financially, socially. The world saw a 55-year-old man. Inside, I was still 30, stuck at the moment I failed. It didn't just take years. It took the chance to build a family, the chance to grow slowly, the chance to fail and try again. Those are things time never refunds. The hardest question people ask. People say, "Would you do it differently?" I don't answer right away, because the truth hurts. Yes, I would walk away, even if it meant being broke, even if it meant feeling embarrassed, even if it meant being behind. No amount of pride is worth 25 years. What I learned too late. Here's what I wish someone had told me at 30. Fast money costs slow decades. Ego ruins more lives than poverty. One moment can outweigh a lifetime. Walking away is strength, not weakness. Prison is full of men who didn't walk away. Why I'm telling you this? Because someone watching this is standing in a moment right now. A moment that feels small. A moment that feels harmless. A moment that feels necessary. I'm here to tell you, it's not. If I could go back, I wouldn't try to fix everything. I would fix 1 second. That's all it takes. My message to you. If you're 20, 30, or even 40, slow down. Think longer. Choose boring over risky. Because freedom is fragile. And once it's gone, you never get the same version back. I lost 25 years. You don't have to. Learn from my silence. Learn from my absence. Learn from my regret. If this story made you pause, if it made you think, if it saved you from one bad decision, subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who needs it. Because stories like this are not for entertainment. They are warnings.